what movies did you grow up with, and like what format was it? VHS,
Yeah.
DVD?
Yes, we're old. VHS.
That's true. It's so true.
Yeah, and it has a connection. For me, the connection is a Ron and John film, who also directed the first Moana, is The Little Mermaid. I watched that movie. I know every word. I loved it so much I wore out my VHS for sure. And it sort of becomes like a part of your life, honestly. It's like, when a great song happens and is incorporated into your life. I feel that way about films as well. And so I think that really happens once it's released for people to have at home and be able to watch on repeat or watch their favorite parts. That's really exciting.
Oh, I love those clamshells. Yeah, no, growing up, for me, it was Bambi, Jungle Book, even Lion King, 101 Dalmatians. Oh, man, I watched those just nonstop. Then when DVDs came out, it was Tarzan. I was like a student, and then I realized, like, oh my gosh, they're sharing so many behind-the-scenes moments. I realized, wait, artists make this. And it actually helped me find my path, ultimately, to Cal Arts, where you and I met. Yeah.
The DVD, the behind the scenes stuff, because I always watch like Wonderful World of Disney and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. So to have that like with every movie coming out was.
Yeah, it's really fun to see a glimpse behind the scenes, and like we've been talking about some of the things that we had to delete or take out of what we were making, but they by themselves are still super entertaining, and we loved those pieces. They just didn't quite fit into what we ultimately wanted the story to go. But to have a chance for people to enjoy those and see how we make these and our crazy ideas, like a two-headed bird, it's super fun.
Speaking of like the extras, was there one like from the ones that will be available for fans at home? Which ones do you think that they should watch right away?
Yeah.
And was there one that when you make projects, do you think of an extra to include like as you're making the project?
I don't think about it in the process. Like, I think we are so present in the making of it and the creative wrestle. I'm so glad that, people are recording things and, keeping it for posterity. You're actually very good at archiving.
Yeah.
You archive work really well. But yeah, I just get obsessed with just the problem at hand, and I can't see too far ahead. But there are some real gems. Like there is this giant two-headed bird that falls in love with the canoe. It was the weirdest scene, very comedic. Ultimately didn't fit, but you can see how, we were finding out who the crew was and how they could work independent from Moana. Because, in the first film, it was really just Moana and then Maui and how they fed off of each other. And so to figure out how the others would thrive on the screen was very important.
Yeah, and I think if you love the songs of Moana 2, to see a couple of the sequences that we had to change and cut, there's an incredible song, Two Pieces of Me, that Moana sings that was pretty far along, but we ultimately had to change it. But that's such an incredible song. Still to this day, I love it. So I would recommend, especially if you love the songs, to go watch that and listen to that one. It's good. Yeah, you will like it.
Speaking of like changes, I know originally it was meant to be a TV series. Can you talk a bit about the shift and like what kind of like challenges come up when you go from TV to feature film?
It was interesting because when we were working on the series, that was new for us. We had worked our whole careers in feature film. We were very excited to expand the literal world of Moana and her story in that format. But then ultimately, as we kept screening our story that we thought of just as an overarching story that had all the main elements that the movie has of, Moana, finding Motofetu, reuniting the ocean and the peoples of the ocean, her little sister, it really wanted to be a movie. Everyone would say after we would screen it, like, this is a movie. And ultimately, we agreed with that, and we're so glad, everyone else at Disney did too, because it allowed us to make the biggest movie possible. Yeah,
as we screened several times during the making of the project in our theater, first of all, it's up on a big screen, and we watched all the episodes together. So in a sense, you really did get a sense for the complete story. So it wasn't too much of a leap for the idea of it to become a feature, but then there was a lot of hard work and streamlining we had to do to really get the best version of that story. Really had to to pair it back to really what Moana's going through and her point of view. But I ultimately think all of those pieces ended up being what they should have been all along.
Yeah.
We were trying to
Yeah.
get to that core of why each one of these crew members is on the journey, why Simea is such an important character, and all those pieces just ended up being their best self in the feature version, the film version of it.
But yeah, there was, you know, a great deal of work that, you know, Dana and Jared as writers, you know, had to do to kind of reorganize what we had to make it fit into that format.